thank you for that. Okay. Does anybody want to have some keywords they want to speak about to begin with?
Okay, I'll put one that's like about it being beyond survival.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, like it seems like that's something that's like it's only thought of this, you know, way of surviving that seems to limit what it can be. So it seems much more of a, you know, of a starting again from scratch type thing.
Okay. Okay. So I put in here Indigenous knowledge.
Yeah.
How it's important to look at traditional ways of doing things and to combine that, you know, of how people have lived before in unison with nature and the problems that is experienced there, and also to, I guess it's not just to focus in the indigenous knowledge, but essentially to really look for diverse ways in approaching things that are not just solely come from experts, quote unquote, or like to really gather all our resources and in different contexts and maximize the potential of the ways and approaches we can utilize.
I've put a keyword perception, and I think with that I mean that we need to have a change in mindset about where the human is in the world, and appreciate that we have become a geological entity, and that we are actually changing the nature of the planet as much as any other geological entity. We need a new way of thinking and seeing and being, and I imagine that as a collective and a collaborative voice in the way that a choir might sing together.
Oh, that's beautiful. Like a choir. Yeah. In unison.
Mm.
Yeah.
For the song to be heard.
Mm. Yeah, that's beautiful. Any other else? What you?
I put adaptability. I was thinking about how, like, we're seeing it now that our sort of strict ideas on what things are and how things work are being challenged, and how that's just going to be happening more and more. So our definitions of things need to be able to adapt. Like, we can't just see an exhibition as something that happens in a gallery, and we can't just see a community as something that's fixed by a space. So yeah, adapting our ideas of what the potential things are, I guess.
Yeah. Sorry, it's just getting messy. Storytelling. Who wrote that?
Storytelling. I think we have in across all history, we have that history. We have that tradition of storytelling for sharing information, and I think it's partly something that we should be thinking about, is using storytelling to prepare people for the future narrative, because we know that the rapidly changing world is going to impact on millions and millions of people, and it's not just preparing them practically, but emotionally and spiritually. I think there's going to be, I think it's going to be something that we can do as artists
Yeah,
across all art forms.
definitely. Yeah, I wrote here as well, listening, because I feel like people don't really listen so much these days. Like, you would think it's very basic, but we don't actually do it a lot. Like, we don't listen to, again, it goes to like experts don't listen to non-expert ideas, and we don't listen to how people do things in different contexts. You know, we tend to be like this rigidity of what I know, and instead of this, I think with listening comes this opening of learning, you know. So I think it's really, really important that we tune in more to that. Yeah.
I just saw this phrase weather wisdom, which wasn't necessarily something we've really, well, I don't remember talking about, but there's kind of idea of like listen, maybe linked to what you're saying, Ryan, of like listening. But that's kind of also listening not just to each other, but also listening to a kind of our environment, to paying attention to, yeah, the weather, the wider environment, and so on, and being responsive to that. Like that seems, yeah, I think that sometimes maybe it's linked back to what we were sort of talking about with the hierarchy. We kind of see ourselves at the top of it so much, and yeah, maybe it's about listening to other things that we should give greater hierarchy to.
Yeah, I completely agree to that. Like, how I just actually want to share how I had this thing that I listen to trees. Like, I hug them, and I've been listening to them for years. So, and I kind of hug, it's this thing that I hear that actually trees speak to us, because they're very dynamic, and you know, they're actually fascinating thing, like things that exist in the world. So they speak, but we can't hear them because we've lost our way.